Terry Bell saying hello from Herb Doc. Glad you joined us. Today is a really exciting day. We're going to be talking about animals, all types of animals, farm animals, little dogs, cats, any little pet you have. People pay a fortune to see a vet. We'll show you in a few minutes how you could test your own pet and just find out what the dog needs. It might be something the dog's eating or he's not eating. It might be he's getting into foods that he shouldn't be eating, or he's eating a food for a big dog instead of a small dog. A small dog has to eat foods that are different than a big dog. In fact, a small dog, you wouldn't see him looking out the window one day saying, "See that buffalo? I think I'm going to go grab a hold of him and pull him in." And if he can't, he's not going to be getting into that kind of meat. So I have a guy here today with me, and his name is Ben, and he brought our dog along. And I'll just bring him on the set here. And the dog's name is Mickey. And he's excited to be here, you can tell. He's looking. And when we test a dog, I just take my hand and I go from the back to the front, asking what's wrong. Everybody knows I press on my finger to muscle test. I'm just pressing on my finger. But if Ben came over and said, "I don't believe that. I don't believe that's happening," well, that's fine, I'll tell him. I'm going to show you on your arm if there's anything wrong. First, I'll go down the dog's back, see if there's anything wrong. I go vitamin, mineral, organ, gland. So there is something down because the gland showed up. So I go, is it pituitary, pineal, thyroid? 10, 20, 30, 40, 56, 70. This shows me the dog's thyroid's at 70 out of 100. And that means they can get tired or they won't just feel themselves. They'll be cranky. But let me show you on his arm. I just take his arm and go all the way down the body like this, just moving my arm, and see where do we have to work. You see where that dropped on the neck? So thyroid, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Could you feel the difference? Do you feel it right away dropped on 70? So what would I give this dog now? The arm will drop on what herb it is, so he doesn't even have to guess. It's kind of neat. Doesn't even have to guess. Look at it. Is it dulse? Is it iodine? Is it kelp? Oh, the arm went down. So now I would test, is it a capsule a day or is it a half a capsule? Did you see that? Very easy to test. And you just ask the body, and that little demonstration on a dog, I do that with pigs, cows, snakes. Only the snake, it's hard to find the armpit. And the other part, little creatures they bring in, rats and everything. And they want to make sure that animal is healthy. Sometimes it's just changed the food. They're eating the wrong food. It took one person, their cat died, and I told her a few weeks before it was bad food. A week later, she heard it on the news. It was bad food. Thank you. We'll be right back with the rest of this show on pets. Today, I'd like to tell you about a couple of other neat products. Bentonite, powdered bentonite. First of all, people take and put it and they mix it with this product, but a lot of people use it for diarrhea. It's very good for somebody with diarrhea. And if you have chemical poisoning, you take a little bit in juice, or they stick it in their porridge and swallow it and then drink some extra water for bentonite. Bentonite, some people will take it and mix it with water and pat it on their face. And there was a mud found in BC, and it was $40 a bottle for mud. And you put it on your face, and when it dries, you wet it again and put it on, and it draws all the impurities out. So people with pimples, it cleans your face really good. That is bentonite. This other one here is called silica, an amazing product. Amazing. Silica. If you spread it on your bed and there's bed bugs in your place, it'll wipe out bed bugs. Look it up. They give it to animals, and it's under the diatomaceous earth that are eating their own feces. They stop. But you take it yourself, it's good for hair, skin, and nails. And amazing. A lady I met down in Ontario was having a problem with her hair falling out. She started taking silica and it stopped falling and said, "But it's not growing." No, it takes 4 months to grow hair, even with an implant. Silica, hair, skin, and nails. It tightens and tones your body. It's good for your body. You'll feel a little better, a little better. Silica. It is very amazing for the digestive tract. And you'll find out that you'll feel a little better, and a little better on silica. But when they mix them two together and they put it in water and stick it on their face, it even draws impurities out of the face a lot faster. Remember, if you can't see a practitioner and you've got bad skin, just take silica. You've got bad skin and hair, take silica. If you have horribly greasy hair, take silica. If it doesn't go away, let me tell you a neat little tip. Rinse your hair with vinegar, and oily, greasy hair disappears very quick. Thank you very much. Hello, good to be back. Today I got a guest with me all the way from down in southern Toronto, and he is very good with animals. When I first went to Toronto, I had to go into the barns and test animals, and I start smelling like pig manure, and you don't get too popular with the customers after, and into the barns and out. So I was glad somebody came along and really wanted to work with the animals. So today here from southern Toronto is Ben Cascanet, and he's a fourth class practitioner, and he's very good at it. And what I like about our practitioners, they have a passion for it. They'll go 100 miles out of the way to help somebody do this. So Ben, good to see you. And tell me, what was your first experience with Sho-Tai?
I was a welder for many years, and I got sick, and nobody could really find out what it was that was going on with me. And a friend of mine had mentioned that there's a man who comes from Manitoba, and he does a type of testing, and it seemed a little odd. But he gave me the lady's number whose house you were testing at, and I went in, and it was a little bit odd. I'd never been exposed to natural health products or any of that sort of thing, and I didn't really believe in it when I first saw it. I thought it was kind of a load. But I bought the stuff anyways, because you did tell me exactly what was going on, all my symptoms, without me mentioning anything. And I ended up taking the products, and by the time I came back in 3 months, I was so much better. I started asking what it was you were doing. I had to find out what it was you were doing because you nailed it right on the head. And I started testing animals first because that was my whole intention when I first started to test, was to learn how to test animals, because an animal can't tell you what's going on. You have to read the signs, and you have to come up with it on your own. So that fascinated me, and that's why I learned how to do this.
So what is the difference to you between testing a human and testing an animal?
Generally, animals don't have more than one thing wrong. They don't have the same lifestyle problems that we have. They don't drink, they don't eat pizza. So usually there's only one thing wrong with them. Also, they seem to respond more quickly than humans. Humans generally take 3 months to do a cleanse or repair cycle. Animals can be measured in days or weeks, and the amounts that they need generally isn't as much.
What can people do to maintain their animals? I write the questions down because I had so many. People want to know this.
For animals, actually, maintenance is a big issue. When we do is we have 3 separate water dishes, or 2 separate water dishes. One will always have pure water, just so that they can have water whenever they want. The second dish will either put HClO or silver or something else that will help for antibacterial. And if they need something like that, they'll drink it. If they don't, they'll drink the regular water. And you'll notice usually they'll drink the regular water, and then maybe for a week or so, all of a sudden they'll start drinking the other stuff. And it means they've picked something up and they're trying to push it out of the body.
So the animal knows better than us then?
Yes, they do. And they'll only eat as much as they need. So when they stop taking it, that means they don't need it anymore.
Okay, let me ask you this then. So why do dogs eat grass?
It depends on how they're eating the grass. If they pull whole chunks out and swallow it, they have something irritating their stomach and they're trying to vomit it back out again. If they sit there and they chew it and they chew it and they chew it, they're trying to get the chlorophyll out, which means that they have something wrong with their blood, because chlorophyll helps to purify the blood.
Boy, you know your stuff. What are some of the bigger problems with bigger animals on the farm? You know, a small animal will eat different than a big animal, like a small dog and a big dog.
So for large agriculture, some of the problems with large agriculture is when you're dealing with a large animal, that's like a cow that's almost 2,000 pounds. If you have to treat them with something, it takes a lot. And in that case, an ounce of prevention really is worth a pound of cure. So it's a lot easier on large animals to do maintenance. So giving them a little bit of kelp every day, a little bit of bentonite every day, a little bit of HClO in their water. If you keep everything in the ration, it slowly builds your health up. So that if something happens, they have the reserves to be able to fight it off. And then if you do have to treat for something else, you have to use lower doses. You don't have to use huge doses of things. So it actually makes it healthier in the long run.
Oh, okay. Let me ask you this too. Is salt, is it important to an animal as it is to a human? I really believe it's really, human has to have it every day or you're going to be sick.
Yes, it's very important. There's a big difference between sodium chloride and sea salt. Sodium chloride actually dehydrates the body and it's hard on the kidneys. Sea salt is an electrolyte. It helps to hold moisture and it also has a lot of the minerals, vitamins and minerals that the body needs. When you're dealing with dairy cattle or any large animal, especially in the heat, the sea salt will allow them to hold moisture. I know with our own animals, when we switched from the iodized salt to the sea salt, they drank a lot less water and they didn't pee their bedding as much, because with iodized salt, they drink lots and then they pee it right back out again. They get thirsty because they're dehydrated, they drink more water and pee it out. When you switch to the sea salt, they drink half as much, but they're able to retain it. And in things like dairy cows, it makes a huge difference because they're using so much water for milk.
Okay, so also too, you'll get a dog come up, like you've seen a little dog today, and he'll start licking your hand, and he'll lick, 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 lick. Never quits. Why is that?
That's usually a sign that they're lacking in salt. They're trying to lick the salt off of your arms.
What is the first example that comes to your mind about something that was really neat of an animal you tested?
Probably our old horse. We have an old quarter horse, Leo, who's 32 years old, and he used to have heaves, which is
32 human lives? Or?
32 actual years, which is over 100 in human years. And he had heaves, which was hard to breathe. And we actually treated him with herbs, and that fixed that. And also he started losing weight as he lost his teeth because he was so old. And we started giving him senior feeds, which have a lot of molasses. And eventually he stopped eating and started getting thinner and thinner. And so we had to use chlorophyll, which actually pushes the iron out, because molasses has a lot of iron in it, and it jams the liver. So the chlorophyll goes in and it pushes the iron out of the liver, and then he would have his appetite back and he would keep eating. We also used aloe to help him absorb all the nutrition that he was eating, and he put his weight back on, and he's still in good condition now.
We'll be right back after this message. Thank you. Hello, I'd like to tell you about an exciting product called silver. Some people call it colloidal silver, and other people call it ionic. The difference is colloidal, if you compared them, would be the size of a bowling ball, and ionic would be the size of BBs. It means it goes into your system quick. Silver, people use it for spraying under their arms so they don't have smelly armpits. Some people use it for bad breath. It's an amazing antibiotic. Health Canada has found it with non-medicinal ingredients. Non-medicinal. What that means is no use to you. Although if you sprayed your smelly feet, they'd be gone. If you have a sore throat, you take a tablespoon, gargle for a minute, swallow. In a few minutes, it can be gone. If you request any information, email us at sho-tai.ca. Plain silver is being barred all over Canada by Health Canada. So if you can buy a bottle, it never goes bad. It always stays here. You could have that 10 years, minerals don't go bad. What an amazing product. I have them in my house, and you rinse your teeth. 101 uses. Look us up, email us at sho-tai.ca, and we'll be glad to email you the information on silver. Have a good day. Terry Bell. Hello, we're back again, and an exciting time about animals. A lot of stuff you don't even know about the animals, and you'll find out today. Their little habits, and why they scratch, and why they bite, and why they don't bite, or why they yap and they don't yap. This is Ben with me. What is an amazing case you've seen?
I actually tested a horse, a jumper, and they didn't tell me what was going on with it, and I ran through a full test, and it went to his pituitary gland. And usually when the pituitary is involved, it is mental problems, schizophrenic.
So you can get a mental horse, eh?
He was a mental horse, and after I told them what I had found, they said that yes, they couldn't keep him in a stall because he tried to throw himself or hurt himself, so they had to keep him outside. And he also had large lumps on his sides. And when I tested him, the only thing that came up was he was short on potassium. And when we gave him potassium, it was a high dose. It was 2 capsules every 2 hours. And a capsule isn't something that usually a horse would want to eat, but it's funny. We said before that animals will know what they need instinctively. And as soon as they offered it to him, he would run up to the fence and grab them, and then he would leave. Every 2 hours they came up and he would run up to the fence and eat them on his own and then go back and leave. And within a week, the swelling started to go down. He was back into the stalls. So being short on one mineral can cause all kinds of problems.
So do you know why potassium?
It's a salt, and it helps with the transmission of electricity.
Yeah, it's electrical. So if it's down on one side of the brain is not transferring. When I was in Saskatchewan, there was a girl 5 years ago, her dog was dying, and all I ended up giving it was red clover. In a few weeks, it was well. But she had a little dog and was feeding it jelly beans. And I asked her husband, why are you doing that? She said, it's dying in a month. And I said, dying? Then it's really going to die. Said, let me test it. And it turned out it was eating buffalo meat, which was killing the little poodle. Just by putting it on one herb called Easy Digest. Have you ever come across that before?
Yes, we use it quite a bit.
Easy Digest, bang. The dog, I just seen it after 6 months, and that dog is back to normal and is going to live. They can't believe how long it'll live. It went so healthy. The next one here, why does a dog get itchy skin then?
A lot of times it has to do with the lack of omega-3. When they start to lick their paws or chew on their legs, that's usually a deficiency in omega-3. Sometimes with itchy skin, it can be a chemical problem, and it's coming out through the skin, and you can use bentonite.
And that is, you're saying that is a big problem, because it is. I met a lady who spent $2,200 on her dog, and it was ripping its skin out, so they had to put cones on him. And when she brought him in, said they're going to have to put the dog down. I said, oh, bring the dog in. Tested the dog, and I found out he needed 3 salmon oil a day. After a week, she phoned me, and he pushed one of the salmon oil under the fridge and ate 2, because he knows he only needs 2. Then he went to 1, and then he stopped, and all the itching stopped and the tearing. So omega-3 is really amazing for a dog's brain also. Why does a dog lick its legs?
That goes back to the omega-3 again. It'll keep licking and licking until the hair comes right off of it. And that's usually a sign of low omega-3s.
Okay, see, every time you do a little habit, a dog, it's not because he wants to do the habit, it's something he's giving you a signal. Right here, a cat, I went to a woman's house, she asked me to come in, and the cat would run into the closet and smash his head till it bled. It'd fall down and start again. No, that shouldn't be. So I said, let me test the cat. And I tested and it said emotional. After I said emotional, is it a family member? Yes. Was it a death? Yes. So I asked her, was there a death in the family? And she said, yes. 3 months ago, there was a death. My husband died. How long has the cat been smashing his head on the? Well, 2 months. So I said, you have to find something that he had, a coat, and lay it on the floor. And the cat will smell it, and that will disappear. He'll think he's home. When she did that, in a few days she phoned back and couldn't believe that it actually happened. The cat went back to normal peace. Isn't that amazing? Why do horses' legs swell? A guy tied up his horse in the stall from both sides because it was funky, but the legs swole up in a few days. So why does that happen?
Actually, horses stand on the tip of one finger. All the other ones went away over evolution, and they stand on the tip of one finger. And the little tiny bone at the end actually sits on a pad. And there's a one-way valve on the pad, so when it lifts its foot up, the blood flows into the pad. When it steps back down on it again, the valve closes and it actually pushes the blood out of the pad, and that's what helps to pump the blood back up the legs. So if they're just standing there and not moving, the blood will pool in the bottom of the leg without that pumping action. That's just one of the reasons they can swell. Like anything else, you can't look at a single symptom and determine what it is that's causing that. That's why you have to test, because one symptom could have 100 different reasons why it's doing that.
That's amazing. It's like a pump in there. Okay, and horses, do you deal a lot with horses?
We do quite a few horses, a lot of the sport horses and the riding horses. They're worth quite a bit of money, so people will want to find out what's going on with them, and they're more interested in results than...
And it's a lot of big money too.
It is, and with an expensive animal that's worth 6 figures, they want to find anything they can to increase.
And do you find a lot of problems for them fixed?
Yeah, because we deal a lot with nutrition, what the body's lacking. So, and they are very up on natural products in general on a lot of the sport horses.
I'm just talking with Ben here from Southern Toronto, he let me know. And we'll be back right after this message. Hello, I'd like to tell you about an exciting product called salt. I shouldn't even be telling you about salt. Look it up. Your doctor may tell you, get off of salt. And he's partly right. Like you've seen on one of the shows, one of them is sodium chloride and the other one is sea salt. There is a difference. One's heated to 1200 degrees and bleached. It's not the same product. I've got a sheet that'll show you. Just ask for it. Email us at sho-tai.ca and you will not believe how many things salt is needed for in your body. You could get sea salt, Celtic salt, Himalayan. Doesn't matter. As long as it's not bleached and heated to 1200 degrees. Check it out. Why do you think they give you intravenous when you go to the hospital? Sea salt and water. Because it's so good for you. And if you're feeling sick, tired, and sore all the time, you need sea salt. Go and have yourself some salt and enjoy your day. Thank you very much. Good to see you back. We're just here talking about animals, their little habits, and everything they do means something to somebody. You're going to find out today, a guy, Ben, that I trained in Sho-Tai. He took this very serious and he tests the animals for me down in Toronto area. Now, the next question here is why did they put ash in cats' food? Isn't that unbelievable? You read that on there.
If you look at what cats eat, they eat mice. And a lot of mice, they're covered in hair. And that's a big part of what they're digesting in their stomach. So their body has to be able to digest that. It's basically silica. And if they get too much meat as a solid meat source, they're not getting the parts of the mouse because that's their regular diet. Same with small dogs, like terriers. Their usual diet is mice and rats. If you feed them straight meat, like say a larger dog, they're not getting all the nutrition that they need. So they will need silica. And that's sometimes why you see dogs trying to steal cat food, because it has more of that ash in it.
Okay, so what you're saying is we got to put our money where our mouth is. Okay. Okay, just to get you off track. Okay, one of the times I went down to Toronto, the first time I went down, piles and piles of pigs were dying. And when I went into the barn, they said, can't you smell that? Did I smell what? I couldn't even tell what I was smelling. It was so horrible. I had to put a hanky over my nose. And I went over and put my hand on the pigs because they couldn't find what was wrong. And here, they had diarrhea so bad that it was killing them. And what would you give somebody for diarrhea?
Bentonite is a good one.
Bentonite, really good, because that's what ended up. I had to give the pigs bentonite. And the vet had told me, no, never give the pig bentonite, it'll kill them. Draws their minerals. Obviously, I said, you haven't met me yet. And the other one I tested, their thyroid was so low they were dying. So they give them kelp free choice, and in 2 weeks, all of those pigs went back to normal. In fact, a company came up with a formula now of those two combinations, bentonite and kelp. And in the last couple of weeks when they're having a birth, they just pull it away. They keep it away and let them go back on to normal, because kelp brings the thyroid up and brings them back to normal. Let's just talk about some foods. Food, you know, dog food? Every dog eats different. So when a dog comes into you, what do you test for?
I test, if they bring their food in, I test to see how good the food that they're eating is. And then I test to see if they're missing anything out of their food. I also show people how to test the food themselves. And I tell them to touch their animal and to hold the food to their chest and say out loud, if food is good for my animal, I'll fall forward. If it's bad for my animal, I'll fall backwards. And they have to say it out loud. Then they just hold it to their chest and close their eyes, and they'll feel themselves falling forward or backwards. And that's an easy way for people to tell if that food is going to work for their animal or not, because every animal is different. Even in a specific breed, everybody's an individual, everybody's different. There's no one size fits all.
Oh, that's good, really good, because every dog I see, I have to test them. I can't just say, give them this. But I noticed the dog food has to be so much protein, so much vegetable, and so much grains. And some dogs even have to have an egg every day. The next dog can't have an egg. I noticed that. So protein, I noticed for small animals is way less than for a big animal. Some animals too, just about all protein. They'll show up 70% protein. How do you know if the dog has been eating the right food? 3 days after you step on their poop, it'll just go poof to ashes and complete powder and it's gone. That's how I know it's the right food. And I tell them, go check your dog poop. They go, what? Check the dog poop. If it doesn't turn to powder, they're eating the wrong foods. And a lot of bought and store foods is horrible. You should really grind the food up, stick it in your fridge and freeze it, and then bring those patties out. You can even test to the ounce, which you know, how many hamburgers they need a day and what time of the day would be best for that little dog. Here's something else they give the dog, silver. Why would you give a dog silver?
Silver is a great antiviral, antibacterial. It helps fight off colds and anything like that. And it's also very good for spraying on wounds because it disinfects, and if they do lick it up, it doesn't harm them at all. It works just as well inside the body as it does out. So.
Here's another one. Why would you give them aloe vera?
Aloe vera is an amino acid. It helps them absorb their minerals and their nutrition that they're eating, and it also helps to alkaline the body, and it helps to clean their bowel.
HCLO. When would you use that?
You use that for infections, internal infections, sometimes even cancers, growths, bacteria. Again, it's for some of the same times that you would use silver. But again, if you put that in water, they can choose which one they want. And again, that's another one that you can spray on cuts and burns.
And HCLO is actually sodium chloride and water. And they mix it together and they hit it with electricity and it knocks the hydrogen out and the sodium purges the body. You stick it in the water and it purifies the water. Very amazing for dogs that are sick. They just need a few sips and they'll lick it twice and they're gone. A couple of more before we go. And then we'll have to save some for next week when you're back, because this is exciting. We didn't expect to have you on there this long. Now we got to feed you another week. But kelp or dulse?
Very important. We tend to feed kelp and dulse as free choice for a lot of animals. They will eat only what they need. They might eat it like crazy to begin with, and then after a while they'll just eat a little bit, and that helps to keep their thyroid up so that they can fight off infections.
Do you love working with animals?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. They don't talk back as much as...
Okay, they don't talk back as much. And it shocks a lot of people. You put the herb down, 3 different types of herbs, and the one that you picked, the dog will just smell and go over to it. And then you're back on track. And you know what? People will fight tooth and nail for their dog. So we just have to end this program for this week, and we will have to have Ben back another time, because we hardly got into this and how important it is to have your animal tested by a Sho-Tai practitioner. It doesn't cost very much, can save you thousands of dollars, and I've had lots of animals. They're dying, and a few months later I see them and I say, oh, the vet said there's nothing wrong with them, because it's just an excess of one, like a cow or cattle eating meat, or a deficiency of another that makes an animal sick. Same as human. See you next week. God bless you.